Well, hi, and welcome to my shop here this morning, where I'm trying to do what I have to do to get that radio back into its cabinet. So one of the things was to replace or recover the grill cloth. So here is the almost finished new grill cloth cover that's going to go in the cabinet. So you see I've just maintained the old backing here, as crummy as it is. And what I've done here to get the material folded over into place is I've actually glued it in place. Now I've done this twice. The first time failed terribly. I mixed up some ordinary white glue with a little bit of water, tried to use it. You can see some of the glue stains here. Did not work at all. But since then I purchased some shoe glue. Actually it's called shoe goo. I just got this at the hardware store, and the purpose of this is to do shoe repair. I figure, holy smokes, if this glue can hold a shoe together, surely it can hold this together. All it's got to do is just hold this together nice until a couple things happen. One is I remove the last wrinkles, which I think you can probably see if I get the light right. There's a few wrinkles here and there. And get the thing screwed back, bolted back into the cabinet. Once that's done, the glue can go away for all I care. So that's where I'm at. It's another beautiful day today, so I'm kind of jumping in, doing little things, and then jumping out. So I'm just letting the glue set, then I'll do the steaming to get rid of the rest. Then I'm going to look at the difficult problem of how to mount this back into the cabinet, because it is actually tricky to mount this back in the cabinet. I am thinking hard about that while I go outside and read some more about glaciers. Hey! Okay, so I've steamed out the wrinkles from the board, and now, top and bottom. So top and bottom was revealed by a little screw hole that I have very neatly covered up here. Screw hole. Probably up and down really doesn't matter much anyway, but I just want to match it if I can. Shoot. Okay, let's not worry about that. Let's put it in and see what it looks like here. So there's a substantial piece of trim wood here I can nail up against. Short nails or tags, and I should be able to just tack this right in. It won't take too much. Okay, so let's say that's in there. Now I gotta drop in the speaker board. Let's see how that goes. So it's hard to know exactly where to put the speaker board. And you probably can't see it now, but the single screw is right here. And putting a screw through material is a really risky thing, because very often the screw, as it goes down into the material, grabs the material and wraps it around the screw, and by the time you realize that's happened, you've already disturbed the material so much. So piling a screw through this is not the best idea. Tacking it down would be better. Now they used a cross piece on it here. Oops! So they had this piece. Now this was also screwed in, and where exactly, I don't know. Again, that screw's going through material. So if you think, no, well, then don't put the screw through the material. Drill a hole first, and then put the screw through. The drill will grab and wrap all this material up. So this is a real problem, getting past this. So I may opt for nails all around here. This one seems to have found a hole repair. I don't know. nail this in, and then nail this in also. You know, I really wish I could just go through these screws here. Now, the last guy didn't. Why didn't he use the screw holes that were in the speaker baffle board? Because this has come from another radio. I think that's the bottom line. Okay, so I've looked at this enough. I'm going to give it a little bit of time to think. Whoops. Because, you know, at this point, if I make a big mistake, I'm starting completely over again. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to leave it just like this and ponder it for a little while. Now I think it looks pretty good. A little better here on my own eye than you see in the camera. But not bad. Much better than the white stuff. No stains. Okay, so it's taken me about 15 or 20 minutes to get the speaker back in there securely. And thank you very much to the viewer who sent me an email, very timely, warning me about the problem of the antenna being in here and being interfered with by this transformer. So at the last minute, I made sure I put it in so I wouldn't have to redo it later, because surely I would have had to. Being able to rotate the antenna, even if it's only once after putting the radio in place, is really important. In fact, that's really how it's supposed to work. You put the radio in place and kind of turn the antenna for the best position for the 1 or 2 or 3 stations that you really like to listen to. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I guess it's chassis next, and my gosh, we'll find out if that speaker even works. Oh boy. Well, here it is the next day. It's just too nice yesterday to spend a lot of time in here, so that's where we're at though. Same place, speaker waiting. What's it waiting for? It's waiting for the rest of the radio here to come in. So I think the next stage is to put these push buttons in, screw them in place. So I'm going to get busy on doing that. Okay, so you can see the mounting hole up here where this is going to go, but I think the issue that's really staring me in the face right now is this asbestos sheet. Now, this is not in very good shape. So at first I see the edges here is all roughed up, and there's going to be some amount of asbestos being released. There's bits and pieces here that have, because I had the thing tilted, have fallen forward and that. So it's a fair bit of fiber coming loose here. When I put the radio in, it's only going to scrape up some more. Now, you know, is this a dangerous thing? Not particularly. It's just not a lot of asbestos here. And even if I do shake a little bit loose now, it's only now. It's not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week or anything like that. So not to be too panicked by this, but we're going to have to investigate a little bit here. Typically these sheets are just held down with a couple of staples whacked into them. I see a staple here and I see a staple here, and that looks like that's it. Like they literally put the sheet and whack with a stapler and move on. So I think if I'm going to just release these, oh my gosh, this isn't even. Well, you can see the whole sheet lift there. This didn't even go through. Yeah, whack, not paying any attention. This never even made it into the wood. Huh. So this looks like a little nail somebody's put in the corner here. Here's one here too. Okay, so it's also nailed in. So why there were two staples there and nails? I don't know. Yeah. Let me just lift it right over the nail heads here. Carefully. So now disposing of this stuff, where I live, this amount of asbestos can be thrown out in the regular garbage. All they ask is that you double bag it. You put a bag inside a bag. So I'll get a couple of grocery bags and I'll do exactly what they say. And we're going to be left with some particles inside here. I'm going to have to think about how to get rid of those the best way. So again, I don't think this is a big deal. It's just a deal. I'm just trying not to make too much, too light of it. I'll get the bags and dispose of that sheet. Okay, now if it were an easy matter, I would do this outside, but it's not an easy matter getting this radio outside. So we're just going to do it like this. There we go, in the bag. Now, what to do about these little bits and pieces here? The easy thing to do is just vacuum them, let them go in the vacuum. I'll probably trap any fibers in the vacuum, and that's the end of that. I tried sweeping them. I'm doing exactly what I shouldn't do. So I think I'm going to grab the vacuum just a little bit in here, just get rid of it. And in the meantime, bag number 2. There we are. Well, that's headed for some landfill somewhere. I don't even know where my town's garbage goes. I know where a lot of our recycling goes now. It goes to Asia on huge ships. Recycling. Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea, but I don't think it's actually happening. Not around here. Not in Ontario. Okay, asbestos out. One thing I should say about the asbestos sheet is that as long as it's in here, some of the dust in that that's in here, the dust and dirt and cobwebs, all that kind of stuff, that's going to have some amount of asbestos particulate in it, and you really want to deal with that as if it's asbestos too. And again, I'm not trying to freak anybody out here. I'm thinking, what is threatening our lives? Bathtubs and stairs, drunk drivers. Asbestos, not for us. You work in the asbestos industry. Now let's talk about another problem that's coming, and that is the guy has glued the last repair, glued the glass in, and he did a great job on it. That glass is not ever coming out, that's for sure. The problem is that these kinds of, I think in all these kinds of radios with the glass face, you're trying to shoot the light into the edge of the glass. So some evidence of that are these holes that have been drilled here. And that's to allow the light bulb to set in far enough. The light bulb filament, the actual part that's generating the light, is lined up directly with the edge of the glass. In this case, and in most cases, people don't understand this, and they think, and it's kind of a logical thing to think, that the light is actually being cast in behind and maybe lighting up, just on a little bit of an angle, lighting all this up. And that works to some degree, and it looks okay, but to get that real eye-popping look, you've got to get the light to go into the edge of the glass. So I'm going to free up the edge of the glass here, because the last guy covered it. He covered the key part. Actually, that one's another case of me talking longer than it takes to fix the situation. hot glue. Now, another issue is the kind of light bulb. Let me just grab some lights here. Okay, let's take a look at a few of these. So if we take pretty much an ordinary 47, it's a very common style of bulb with a fairly long glass cover, and so you can see the filament is down like almost 1/4 of an inch, maybe half a centimeter from the edge of the glass. Just put it in like that. There's no hope of this filament getting lined up here. We need a short bulb. This is what I thought might be needed, something like that with a short glass, and that's pretty close. That's it. That's the option. So, the next part of the picture is making sure that the bulbs are in all the way that they can go. I had to clean these out completely. There. That's probably good enough. So usually the light bulbs are mounted in a way that they can be slid back and forth on the chassis a little bit, and that's to make that final adjustment. Or in this case, really, it's just to push them all the way forward after you put the radio in. And in the course of putting the radio in, you may knock them back a little bit. So one of the last things you want to do is, make sure the light is all the way forward. I think this is really important. One of the things you want to do with this radio is dazzle your friends and relatives and stun them with what it looks like. And it's definitely, this is a big part of the stunning process here. If it's one thing that it works. If it works, that's a little stunning. If it sounds really good, that's kind of stunning. If it looks really great, that's pretty stunning. Stunning. Actually, this radio is going to be really good. The grill cloth came out fantastic on it. People are going to come in and look at it and go, wow, that's fantastic. That's really something. Click it on. Wow, that's working. Turn down the lights in the room. Woo, look at the glass. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a good looker. Okay, I think that's enough discussion around all that. It's really time to put in this guy here. Okay, now there were 4 screws I left in. Here they are. So to avoid doing this upside down, not much dust there, a lot more dust on this side. This should be facing up. Okay, I think I got it right. Like, if there's any way I can get this in upside down, I'll usually find it and do it. Let's see. If you're not Canadian, you may not have these kinds of screws. Roberts screws. Okay, that's good. I think the chassis goes in next. Okay, so I gotta do a little bit to get the chassis ready. look at the lights that are in there, they're the large type. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put the smaller bulb in already. I'll leave this here for now. I might even leave this in the radio permanently, just leave it there. For the next guy, I think I still have one. I have one more screw to put on there. One more nut, rather. Yeah, so I still got to do that. Bulbs and a nut. Okay, let me take care of that stuff first, and then we'll get it in the back of the radio. So there were 4 nuts holding the IF cans in, and I lost 2 of them for a while, and then I found one. So I've had 3. I have not had the 4th. And at this moment, I just flipped the radio up, hoping that I would find the 4th one, and there it is, sitting there. I guess it was trapped up in the radio somewhere. I don't know, but anyway. So the reason I bring this up is often when I can't find things, I'll go on to something else in the hopes that they'll just show up. And you know what? It often works. They just show up. So I don't spend any time looking for it, but I'm spending time talking about it. Okay, so I got the nut on there. It took quite a bit. But I really think the next thing we've got to look at is this antenna I've got hanging here. I think this has to be installed at this point. And I've got a few ideas about what to do about it. So this special fitting here at the bottom is supposed to have a spring that comes up and gets into these little, can you see the little tiny grooves there? A fairly large open spring. The washer sitting on the bottom, so this thing will rotate. But it looks a little different in the radio. So let's take a look at how this is going to work out. So this is actually, this would be the top. And the bottom, I've taken the bracket off here. Look at that. Hey. Well, it'll certainly stay in place once it's turned, but if you grab this antenna and try to turn it against this kind of force, I think you're going to end up with a smushed up piece here again. Something like that's going to happen. So I just put some grease on this. I think that's about all I can do is just kind of lubricate this thing. Yikes. Okay, and then the spring be at the top. It doesn't make sense. The spring is supposed to be at the bottom. How are the words? Okay, so the words are that way. So this is the way it's supposed to go in. I can't argue against the words. The words have spoken. So the spring part is on the top. This is supposed to be pretty loose, I think. Okay, let's see if I can try lubricating that guy a bit. Okay, so I'm going to just put some synthetic grease on there. Oh, that's quite a bit. That's a ridiculous amount. I was afraid it's not going to make much difference really anyway. Grind down the rust here maybe. A little better. So of course when I do stuff like this now I can't help but think about glaciers. Scraping glaciers. So I'm at page, I said 200 the other day, I was at page 75 on a 400 page scientific report on worldwide glaciation and ice sheets, historical ice sheets, from the Ice Age and all that kind of stuff. I'm now on page 220. All of my questions are being answered. Yeah, really. Okay. I have lots of questions. I live like all Canadians and many Americans in the northern part of the United States. Everything I see, geologically, landforms, and stuff like that, and driving around, well, that's a lot better. That's a lot better. It's all glaciation. All of it. So I'm starting to ascribe to the cataclysmic theory of Earth's development. So most of us were told, everything you see on the Earth took millions and millions of years to get the way it is. And that may be true in some places. But in many, many places, the Earth is the way it is. It's only been that way for a short time. Not millions of years. Maybe hundreds or more likely thousands of years, like the area I live in. It's only 8,000 years old, maybe even less, 6,000 years old, since the Ice Age left. Now let's try this without a spring first. Let's just try it. You know what? This is still going to interfere with the speaker. What's the deal here? I got something wrong, don't I? What can I have wrong? So there's a hole. There's a hole up here. This doesn't fit at all. What is going on here with this? There maybe another. No, there's only the one hole up here at the top. Only this one hole here. Just, it's not even lined up. This hole is not lined up with this bracket. What's going on? So when I look at this block here, big whopping screw in there holding it. That's the only screw I feel. What's holding it? Okay, so there's another kind of screw, not this kind with the top head, the kind with the like this. For crying out loud. So the question is, has this been fitted in? So this could be fitted in. So the antenna could be fitted in because it's really from another radio. I had thought that the damage here had come from crashing into this. I think it's even simpler. I think it's just crashing right into the board here. Or maybe somebody grabbed it with their hand and yanked on it and broke it that way. So what am I going to do here? I mean, this just doesn't fit. I mean, it fits, but let's see. I only have to turn this really 45 degrees, so maybe I'm overdoing it here. If I get this in here like that. Oh, that's back in over here. That's it. It's actually stuck in here. Now, how critical is this? This is fairly critical. In the wrong position, with this antenna aimed the wrong way, the station you're after, even if it is strong, will be just reduced to nothing. So there's a chance, you get this radio in place, and hey, where's the station? It's a strong station. Why can't I hear it? And it's because this antenna's pitched wrong. And if you can't move it enough. So, what can I do about this? Reposition the antenna further out. How far out can you come? So let me put it in the the supposed hole up here, okay. So from this position, okay, you're sticking out the back here, and you're crashing into the front. You're crashing right into this board. So either this was made with, like, you know, micro clearance. Another thing is this is not lining up with this hole. Let me get a plumb bob here and we're going to check that. Well, I searched high and low for my real plumb bob, but I could not find it. It's not something I use very often, but I know I see it regularly, so it's kind of driving me nuts that I couldn't find it. Let's try with this. It's not far from lining up. Now, if it lined up, would that be enough? That would be the question. If it lines up, would that be enough? So it should be about here. And look at that. So that's the whole deal with this thing, is the bracket is just in the wrong spot. So we get it really accurate. It'll be about here. Now, there's another problem with this bracket. I think this board has kind of pushed it out a little too far. Let's take another look. Yeah, it's out too far this way. It should be back. So this looks like redoing this piece of wood into something thinner and moving the bracket forward. So I mean, this was a good attempt, except you got caught when he didn't double check the positioning of all this. I think probably the guy who did this, had he done what I just did, he would have done this differently. So a much thinner block. Now why can't I just stick it right onto this? Because of this. So, you know, in a way, this block is screwed on with just two large screws at the back here. That's the same thing would happen to this. You know what? It only has this one screw. If it had another one coming down here, it's got to go on straight and true. So you don't want to try screwing into this. So it looks like I got to do another block, a thinner block, with this thing. Yep. If I want this antenna to work properly, I think it's worth doing. I don't think it's that big a deal. What about just moving that block? I just move the block itself. Well, let's loosen it off and see what happens. The top screw, I can see what it is. It's a flat. It's a flat. That's a real beast. Wow. Oh. No wonder he didn't tighten it all the way. This will go right through. This will come right through and come out the other side of the cabinet. Oh. And live. Let's take another flat. And when I say the guy, it could have been 5 guys who put time into this radio over the years. Each one of them doing a little thing. Maybe the next guy not really knowing. I don't know. This block is full of holes. I put 3 strong screws here, but didn't bother with a screw down here. Kind of weird to me. So another screw here. So these really would go right through. Oh my gosh, did it go through? No. Oh, man alive. I could have just reached in there and gone, hey, this is loose, and tighten her up a bit. Pop it right through. Without even thinking. Oh boy. Hey, here's the spring system. That's what I've been fighting against. So there it is. And it doesn't even pull or push on the antenna itself. It's just all here. I've made a nice rust slurry there. That's actually quite nice now. Okay, what to do? So there's clearly a height issue you got to get right. What if I just move this bracket way over? What if I move it over far enough? One of these screws is actually airborne, and I just rely on, say, these 2 screw positions. I can certainly get it over far enough. I can't bring it in without changing this block, though. You know, unless I do something crazy like that. You know what? I think that's where this block was. No, really? 2, look at, well, you can't look. I'm probably in front of you here. That's the story here. That is the story. The block actually goes here. Yeah, right there. And I can see the screw holes, which would have just gone into the cabinet a little bit, not giving it a lot of strength, and I can see the glue that was applied on the back here. Now if I'm going to glue this, which I think I am, I need some pretty strong construction glue. And it's like another trip to the hardware store for me, but that'll do it. If I do that, everything is fixed. All I got. And you can certainly glue this these days with enough glue to put it on there permanent. Excellent. That's where I'm going with this. Okay, but I can't do that now. Now, can I put the rest of the radio in? I think the answer is yes. I can even hook up the antenna temporarily. And we can get this thing, find out if it's going to work. That's where I got to get to. Let's find out if this guy's going to work. Oh, what a terrible camera shot. Oh my gosh. Okay. As usual, there's a few more complications here than I was kind of expecting. Now, as for the radio. Okay, I'm going to set it in there and then we'll carry on. You know what I never looked at? I never looked at this panel. I never looked at this panel closely. I am now looking at it closely. Needs a cleanup. Needs a cleanup. Okay, hold the fort. Hold the fort. We gotta clean that. Okay, it is in need of attention. Oh, I'm glad I thought of this. Before it's too late. Now, I'm just using water here to start with. See, some kind of stain has come down here. I wonder what that is. How could that even happen? Great when it's wet. Okay, let's not push my luck here. Dry up and see what it turns into. It's reflective now. Huh. Well, that's better. I think that's good. I don't think we're going to get it much better without running the risk of making it worse. We can't make it better without making it worse. Oh, it's still drying up. Yeah, it's not going to get any better than that. Okay. Back to putting it into the radio here, into the cabinet. Okay, radio. Ridiculously long speaker wire. Really raises questions. Why did somebody do that? Lights are off and at the back here. Yeah. I could fiddle with those lights without putting it in, but we're going to take this guy out. We're going to put in, this is probably a 47. 44. This is a 44. No. I've done something with all my lights. I gotta go find them, and we'll find a suitable light to go in here. Okay, let's see if we can find the proper bulb size on here. Somewhere they are going to hint at it. Parts list. More than a hint. Miscellaneous. Receiver assemblies. Coil, cord, drum, lamp, dial lamp, Mazda 51. 51. So it's suggesting a number 51. Now, do I have 51s? Yes, I do. I do have 51s. And what do they look like? Are they long barrel or are they short? They are short. Exactly as I was saying. So we'll put in the proper lights. One. See what happens. Push this all the way forward. Maybe the radio's got to go a little further forward here. Not really. Now, so I guess maybe if you're designing this, you really don't want the glass bulb to reach all the way to the wood at the front. The bulb's going to get warm. So this one's knocking into the wood, and this one's not making it there. Right on a bit of an angle here, maybe. So something is blocking it from moving forward all the way. So this might actually be better with a different bulb. We'll check it out later. Once we get it going, we'll see how it comes out. And I didn't change the power cord. I decided this was good enough. And I can just cut it shorter here and solve this problem. Do that later. It's okay for now. Now I'm just going to plug in the antenna here. And plug in these wires. These if you look at these wires, there's one closest to the front and one closest to the back. And that's exactly how they go in. Front one front, middle one middle. This is the rule I have in my head right now, which I think is correct. Over a little bit here. Okay. And did I plug it in? I didn't plug this in yet. Good view of the back of my neck there. Solid, but this is not screwed in yet. Guess why? Because I think there's a good chance I'll be pulling it out again. Okay, let's plug it in. Oh boy, look at that. Yeah, I think I might pull it out already to change this cord. I should have done that. Okay, well, and that's phooey. Should have done it, but we'll do it later. Let's see if this will work. That's really where I'm at. Speaker plugged in now. The front is a little more interesting. Well, maybe more attractive, really. Okay, so these are centering up pretty good in here. They look like they are not protruding quite as far as they should. Pointer looks good in there. Moving freely. Very good. We're ready to try it out. Get the switches off. Switch off. In, just plug right into an outlet. I think we want to put on the band knob, which will fall prey to confusion. Just push the whole radio. This guy on. The rest of the knobs I can work by hand. Make sure the radio's in all the way. That's it. I really think we need lights out for this. Do some kind of drum roll too. How's that? That's not bad. We'll leave the daylight coming in on the side. Okay, test. Final test number 1. There's probably going to be 9 final tests. Here we go. Yeah. So you can see the light is a little extra bright here on the flanges. So that indicates the light bulbs are not far enough forward because it's casting some light in behind. But that's not bad. It's fairly uniform. If this is done really well, this thing will be lit perfectly uniform right across, and you won't have these hot spots on the edges. But you know, that's not too bad. I don't hear a thing. I hear nothing. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Let's turn it up. Fantastic. We're on band A.
You hear the rumors of the haunting, and then when something creaks in the room, you're like, well, that's got to be Grandma from 1880 kicking over some cutlery or something like that. I got some haunted hotel stories, and allegedly the one in Tampa might be haunted as well, the Vinoy. The Vinoy, there. You can do that, and there's some stories about that. And that may be the reason why we struggled there for so long. But we'll talk about that later. Other teams didn't struggle there, though, and I presume they stayed at the Vinoy. The home team must have stayed there a lot of those years. Your calls, your texts. Next at Sportsnet Today, Scott MacArthur, Tim Leeper. Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Text us anything at any time. Well, not naked pictures, please. Preferably sports comments, seeing as we're a sports station and all. Text 590.
What's this?
Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
What's this?
You're approved, and you're approved, and you're approved for first, second, or third equity-only home mortgages despite your income. Credit, even if in power of sale. Simply apply in just 3 minutes anytime at savers.ca. That's SAV like Victor, ERS.ca. Count on Savers Mortgage, 493-1983. That's 416-493-1983, or apply anytime at savers.ca. When your knees hurt from carrying you around, when you dread climbing stairs, when you can't see your feet past your stomach, you can't fit into your suit, it's time to do what I did. Time for Harvey Brooker Weight Loss for Men. I'm Mark Chambers, and I lost over 80 pounds with the
Those are 2 nails that have come right through.
No pills, no
right through the top. Son of a gun. Okay, this is really bad. So I'm going to try to tap them back out. But it will stretch the material here.
Great for your kid's football game. Or enjoy this natural snack cycle for life. Go with grapes as a portable and shareable snack on long road trips. And frozen grapes? Try them for a juicy, crisp, and hydrating snack on a hot summer day.
Wow, I never saw that all that. Well, you know why? Those nails were part of me putting the speaker in.
Available at your local grocery store.
Construction. It's the season right now.
This is light. Ah, you piece of...
That's construction. Is often the same thing. But wait.
Okay, not to panic too much. The beautiful uniform look here is going to be buttered up though.
You take your family on vacation. No hassles, no construction. Come home refreshed 3 weeks later and...
Now, part of this is the angle of the light. If I change the light angle, I think it kind of... Wow, I still see it.
There's nothing like meeting face to face. And
Okay.
there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect to do...
Okay, so in a situation like this, I tell myself, don't panic, calm down. Probably it can be, solved or fixed to a large degree in some simple way if I just take a little time. But the bottom line is the whole radio's back together. Looks really nice under this light. You can see a lot more of the woodwork here. Just in my own eye, this is so dark it's hard to see. But Looks great. Oh, son of a gun. Look at this mess. Look at this. Boy, this is really subtle. I mean, there's hardly any variation in the position of the material, but the material is of a sort where a slightly different angle, you know, looking at it gives it a different sheen. So that's what's happened here. Phooey. But, not to panic. I think it's time to do something else for a while. For a little while. So what do we got left to do? We got the buttons. We got to deal with this somehow. and that's it. And then we got the big test. Put this on a big antenna and in a better circumstance and see how well it really works. So not bad so far. Oh. Okay. So I think that's probably it for today. In fact, it for this video anyway. The great news too is the speaker works really well. So thank God for that. Okay. I think I'm going to stop the video by turning off the light here. I think I actually have to stop it on my computer. So thanks for watching, and next video I'll just be a little more refined, and then we'll be doing the big test on it.